Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom, assalamu alaikum, ad nastana. Pleasure to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio, and an even bigger pleasure to be revisiting the Loyal Orders. Just not the ones that you were thinking about, right? In today's segment of Points of Light Radio, we will be fellowshipping with the Loyal Orange Young Briton Lodge. Steady, boys! Okay. Now, the only thing I can really tell you about the Loyal Orange Young Briton Lodges is that they are a fraternal community organization, and they are an active branch of the Loyal Orange Association in the areas of Ontario East and West, as well as Quebec, right? Now, here to shed light on the Loyal Orange Young Briton Lodge is my friend and brother, Mark Alexander. You've seen Brother Alexander featured here in the February 27, 2023 segment of Points of Light Radio when he shed light on the Apprentice Boys of Derry. It's hard to believe it's actually been that long since we fellowshipped with Brother Alexander. That's how long we've been around here on Points of Light Radio. It says something about us. And you know what? I can't wait to fellowshipping with him again. But as I always ask you, are you still thirsty for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? Then you just trim your lamp and follow me. Love that sound. Yeah. Mr. Alexander, welcome back to Points of Light Radio, brother.
Thank you. Glad to be back. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, and you are a member. It's hard to believe it's been almost 2 years, eh? But you were a member of a number of Loyal Orders. First of all, why don't you tell my listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a fifth generation Orangeman.
Wow.
Over here in Canada. I actually have my great grandfather's transfer certificate right here in a folder right on the wall here. And when he first joined the Orange Lodge in the Ottawa area, it was in an Orange Lodge that met very close to where the Governor General's residence is today. And every generation has been Orangemen over here in Canada ever since that time. That's back in the 1870s. That transfer certificate here is. And and I've joined, I was always in the juvenile organization right from when I was a kid. My parents got me into that. And then I got into the Orange Young Britons Association here in 1971. And I've been a member of the OIB. I've went through as a past master, a past provincial grand master in that organization. And then in 1972, I joined the Loyal Orange Lodge and went through all those chairs and was a provincial past grand master in Ontario East in the Orange. And then I joined the Royal Black Knights in, I think it was 1986. I went through all the chairs in that organization at the provincial level, and presently I'm the Deputy Grand Register for the most worshipful Grand Black Chapter of British America.
Wow.
So anyway, I've been 52 years in the Orange, so what's that, 53 years, I guess, in the OIB. So,
and that's one thing you said you wanted to discuss today was the Loyal Orange Young Britons Lodges.
Yeah.
So, like, first of all, which one did you belong to? Like,
Well, I
what's the name
I
of it?
first joined the OYB Lodge number 260, which used to meet in Metcalfe, Ontario,
Mhm.
which is just south of the city of Ottawa, Ontario. And but it closed up in 2006, and I transferred my membership to Rideau Bell OYB 65. And at that time, they were moving from Birch Rapids to a little place called Groveton, Ontario, which is about halfway between Kemptville and Spencerville, Ontario. And there's an Orange Hall, and we have uh, 5 different branches of the Orange Association or Apprentice Boys or whatever, all meet in that hall. So,
Wow.
and so I've been a member of that Rideau Bell OIB 65 since 2006. So I wanted to remain a member of the OIB
Mhm.
because my heart has always been in the Orange Young Britons right from day one. And, you know, what the OIB taught me and would teach anybody that joined is the basic history of the Orange Order and how it was founded back in the 1690 time frame on the in history, you know. So and it um, like the Orange Young Britons, as I would say, has always been the Canadian version of the Apprentice Boys of Derry.
Uh,
Um, because when you get the first degree, it tells you the whole history of the siege of Derry, and tells the whole story in the degree of the closing of the gates and the 13 apprentice boys and all that is all taught in that degree. And then when you get your second degree, which is called the Royal Council degree, it talks about Simon Peter and the fishermen uh, seeking to find Christian men, believers, and having them follow Jesus. So it's I don't know. I've always enjoyed the Orange Young Britons, and sadly, um, there's only 5 lodges left in Canada.
wow.
Uh, but at one time, it was all across Canada. It was quite big in Newfoundland at one time. Ontario, mostly in Ontario East, um, it was big. But I have a book here, and it lists every warrant that was ever issued, and there was lodges all across Canada.
Well, there's still
Um,
some in the United Kingdom, isn't there? Or they have
Not
their own
this
version
Orange
of it,
Young Britain. No,
but
no,
they
this
have
is
their
a
own.
Canadian.
Okay, so this is strictly Canadian, but they do have a version, a young people's version of the orange over there, as I understand it.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
Yes,
but we
in
have
their
no
lodges.
connection. This
But this is
this
different.
OYB. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Now, is it structured the same way, like worshipful master, deputy ma?
yep.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It's structured the same way. You have a worshipful master, deputy, chaplain. Um, Pretty much the same layout as an Orange Lodge,
Hmm.
except where the past master sits in the Orange Lodge. It's actually our director of ceremonies or marshal, but we call him a director of ceremonies. It sits in that chair, um, and then you still have your 4 chairs on the floor there, where you have two. Oh, you have your lectures, 2 lectures on corner to corner, and then on the other side you have 2 committeemen.
Hmm.
Um, so
Hmm. Now, what are the requirements to join? Do you have to be the son of a of an Orangeman, or you could just?
No, no, you don't have to be. You can be. Um, that's the way it has kind of went through history.
Yeah,
It was sons of
yeah.
fathers, and the next generation would come up into. But no, you don't have to be a son. You can be an outsider coming in seeking to join the Orange Young Britons. And what it was originally set up for was to be a um, uh, teaching ground uh,
Yeah.
to learn them, to learn the young guys, and it was it did that. And but sadly, when World War I broke out and World War II, the Orange Young Briton Association, it was that age bracket from 14 to 25. Those were the guys that were going overseas, and those were the guys that went over and never came back. And there was literally lodges ceased to exist
Oh
because
yeah.
so many of them got killed overseas. And then in our records, 3 out of every 10 um, soldiers was an Orangeman,
Yeah.
and in that there was about 80,000 Orangemen that went overseas in the different two wars, world wars, and a lot of them never came home. Sad to say, you know.
Yeah, you did
Um,
want to talk about that as well. The sacrifices they made.
yeah,
So there was I understand there was whole lodges that were shut down because of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's right. And but it was the Orange Young Briton lodges took the greatest hit
Okay.
at that time because it was that age bracket that was gone to war. They were the young soldiers over there,
Mhm.
and and at that time, many of the Orange Halls were used as recruiting um, places,
Mhm.
and I know just from finding out history about different lodges that some of those, like the whole lodge, would sign up and join the armed forces, the militia, or whatever, you know. So,
Yeah.
um, and if you got, some lodges probably had 20, 30 guys, maybe even more. And if most of those guys or almost all of them went, and only maybe a half a dozen came back, um, yeah, they didn't, and those guys that came back didn't. The war changed them,
Yeah.
and they
It's
didn't
hard to
seem to
pick up
have.
where you left off. It really is
Yeah,
after
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
So, but yeah, but the Orange Young Briton Association was it was a good order through its days, and it originally kind of started in the 1865 when the Orange Order in Canada was had was fairly new. They were only 30 some years in existence at that point as an orange functioning orange body in Canada, and they saw the importance of creating a young Protestant citizens group, and they came up with a term and they called it the Orange Cadets.
Mhm.
And the Orange Cadets lasted about 14 years, and they were started um, in about that time. And then in 1871, the cadets was somehow it transferred over to what they called the Young Men's Protestant Benevolent Association. Well, that didn't last long. It only lasted till about 1880, and And then once again, it was after that in 1881 that the Orange Young Briton Association in Canada was formed, and it's been in existence ever since. But the 5 lodges that remain, 4 of them are in Eastern Ontario here, and 1 is in Shawville, Quebec.
Wow.
So,
of all places, eh? Yeah.
yeah.
Now, this is the thing, though. Is it just open to boys now, or has it been modernized, shall we say, to accept boys and girls?
Well, you can't join. Well, you can no, you can't join. You got to still be a boy.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
There's no mixed lodges, yeah.
no mixed lodge, no. And the age limit is 12 to 25 for a young man to join. But they have opened it up to allow, as long as you're an Orangeman, after the age of 25, you have to be an Orangeman of the Orange Lodge in order to remain as a member in the Orange Young Briton Association.
Okay.
And as long as
You find
you're
guys
an
do
Orange,
that?
eh?
Do you find
Oh
guys
yeah,
do really?
yeah,
Eh?
yeah, yeah. So as long as you're a member of the LOL, then you can still be a member of the Orange Young Britons.
And you find
And
guys are still keeping their membership, eh?
yeah, yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But you don't see them ever, shall we say, modernizing or like to accept girls in, or
I don't see that. No,
no?
I don't think there's any desire for that change.
Okay.
There's other branches of the association that has mixed lodges, and we
Yes,
figure
there
that
is. Yes.
they should go that route.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
No, but
now if you look over my shoulder, you can see a flag hanging there with S's on it, and that's the 3 S's is steadiness, silence, and sincerity.
okay.
And the H's that was with the OYB was health, happiness, and heaven. That was the meaning of those 3 letters: SSS, S, and HHH. And I have a ring on my finger here right now that was my uncle's back in the day, and they used to march in a fife and drum band that played out of Ottawa Lodge, and after he died, this ring was given to me, and so they used to be in a fife and drum band back in the 1920s and 30s. Yeah, and I have a picture of them, but I can't picture. I had 2 uncles in that picture, but I can't. They had to be some of the youngest guys in that picture, but I can't tell you which one was who, So,
Yeah.
but they all had the straw hats on at
Yeah.
that time, and they wore. You can see over my shoulder on this side. Sorry,
Yeah.
the different types of sashes. I've hung them up behind me to show you.
Mhm.
There's the one. There's one there with badges on it, and that you can see.
Yeah.
That's my sash, and that's mostly what they've used in the last 40, 50 years. But you can see that there's an orange and purple and blue one, and an orange, blue, and white. And then there was another kind of a yellow, blue, and orange. And that's the oldest sash that I have in my collection.
And that's
They
what you
were
wear during your meetings?
well, when you're on parade or at a function, public function or something, you would wear that sash around your waist, and it hangs down on your.
Yeah.
Supposed to hang down on your left side.
Well, what do you wear during your business meetings? The collarette?
We could wear sashes, but we do have collars, officers'
Okay.
collars and stuff. So, But we do wear sashes if we're probably doing a degree and stuff. If it's just a regular meeting, it's just the collar. So, but we, there's a small group of us, even though we have some gray hair, it's still in our hearts. The Orange Young Briton.
Well, Brother Alexander, I appreciate your time tonight, and all the best to you and the Loyal Orange Briton, Loyal Orange Young Briton Lodge, there, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Wasn't it wonderful having Brother Alexander back here? Like I said, it's hard to believe it's been that long since we fellowshipped with him. Now, let's look at what we've learned here today on Points of Light Radio. First of all, is the history behind the Loyal Orange Young Briton Lodge. I mean, this is an organization, we ask oftentimes here on Points of Light Radio, what has fraternalism contributed? And you've heard this talked about on a number of occasions, but what has fraternalism contributed to society? I honestly believe that what Brother Alexander talked about is a huge part of it. The sacrifice and the patriotism of the young men who served in these organizations like the Loyal Orange Young Briton Lodges that, stood up, literally were recruited in many cases in their lodges, fought overseas, right, served overseas, and in many cases did not make it home. There is really there's a lot of history there that really needs to be preserved, right? There's only 5 lodges left from the Loyal Orange Young Britons. I mean, this is an organization that has kind of withered over time, but I honestly do believe we'll see a resurgence, at least if I have anything to say about that, right? This is an organization that has so much to offer in terms of it, the message, like you heard Brother Alexander and I talking about, the message that it oftentimes gives our young people, right? And unlike a lot of people, I'm very optimistic in many ways, just basically from the things I've heard here over the years that Points of Light Radio has been around, that this fraternalism will survive. We will find our way forward, and this is one of those organizations that will find its way forward and continue to do the great work that it does, right? Because that's really what it's about. We survive on the strength of our membership and our members, and I believe our members will always find a way to keep these organizations going. And I just like that they are adapting over time to that, and I'm glad to hear that. And it's wonderful to hear about an organization that's still doing a lot of great work in the present time with their members, right? And we'll definitely have Brother Alexander back to talk about anything he wants. And when it comes to fraternalism, I do know he has a lot to offer just based on what he, how long he's been part of the Loyal Orders. And I love to hear that, right? But that's all I have time for today, brothers and sisters. Before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. I also welcome your comments and input. You can see the link to my PayPal, where you can hit on that link, make a voluntary donation to Points of Light Radio, and we will use that to move the podcast forward. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. My Bluesky handle is at polightradio.bsky.social. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store. Brothers and sisters, until we meet again for fellowship, just step into the light.